Good morning and welcome to BBRC Britain and English, and a very warm welcome here this morning. It's a very cloudy morning here in Britain, those of you from overseas. Well, thanks for joining me here today. I'd just like to talk about a few of the recent festivals that have been taking place in Britain. Those of you from overseas, and if you're based in England will realise that it's been going on for a few weeks now. Well, in terms of what I'm going to talk about, especially fireworks. I can see quite a few from my window in the evenings here. Well, we've had a few changes leading towards winter, because we're well into autumn now. The clocks went back a couple of weeks ago, the end of October, and we're not in British summertime anymore. Although, of course, it's not in summer, actually, just summertime. It was well into autumn. We're now back in GMT. And that's where we will stay until next March. But it just means the evenings get darker a bit earlier. And, well, we're all feeling it's a bit colder and perhaps darker. And you may want to get home a bit earlier. Well, another widely observed festival has been Halloween, the 31st of October. We've had that in the last week or so. And you may realise that it's observed probably differently in the Western culture, perhaps the Western world, as it might be in the East, perhaps, with the perhaps slightly changing meaning over the years, which potentially has gone away from Christ, the original meaning, or Hallows, to a more perhaps macabre way of looking at it. Perhaps a more with connotations into the occult, which is not of Christ at all. All Saints' Day, as what it was known, or All Hallows' Day, was about remembering the dead, and also those who lost and the faithful departed. That included saints and martyrs, which perhaps where today, put in popular culture, we sometimes see the more macabre element of into the occult with witches, wizards, and chopping up skeletons and goodness knows what else, which can be quite scary for children, but they do find it fun. But of course, the occult is not something to really follow, in my opinion. It's the wrong type of spirit. It's the Holy Spirit we actually need. Nobody's saying we shouldn't have a bit of fun, as I know people, certainly there was a few people around. I think houses have been decorated with skeletons and all sorts of things, inviting neighbours round and raising money for charity, which is another element. But the occult is something perhaps which I would say, from experience of knowing people who've suffered, that perhaps should be avoided. But that's the sort of thing that's happened today in the Western world, especially as well in England. Most of our influences come from America. And people say it's fun, but I mean, you can have all sorts of things. And certainly the Cub Scouts used to have apple bobbing, things like that, and a bit of fun, which wasn't macabre. And some of the churches now open up. If they're not having a service, they have, there's a few around here did have the church open for children, some fun and games and entertainment and fancy dress, which is absolutely fine, taking away any macabre element. But of course we can remember the dead, but most churches don't do that in terms of remembering the faithful departed now, unless they're perhaps very traditional, like perhaps the Catholics or the Anglo-Catholics, although mainly that sort of commemorations widely disappeared. Well, moving on from that, we've also just had Guy Fawkes Night, when Guy Fawkes played a significant role in trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament in 1605, and the plot mercifully was foiled, and he didn't actually get away with it, or else we would have perhaps had a total change in our democracy. But that's what happened, and we commemorate that with a big bonfire and fireworks every 5th of November. and that's absolutely fine. Bit of fun there. Usually you're advised to go to a public display rather than having your own, and things like that. But obviously, if you've got responsible adults, it's all right. But with children, have to be very careful, of course. But I remember when we were younger, we used to have sparklers, waving them around. But the biggest displays, certainly, well, there's quite a few public displays on, although not so many as there used to be, due to costs, and the councils used to provide a display, but sadly, in some of the fire stations, but a lot of that, some of them are not doing it now, and some of the charities are cutting back now with the cost of living crisis and everything else. Now, moving on from all that, this weekend we have Remembrance Sunday, and on Monday it's Armistice Day, remembering all those lost in war, past and present. Very important commemoration to remember those who died in conflict. Remembrance Sunday, this Sunday. Normally it's at 11 o'clock with the last post and the short service there, and all the servicemen turn out to march, and they're on parade to remember and honour those who've died in conflict in the cause of war. And on Monday, that's on Sunday. On Monday, it's the Armistice Day, which is the actual Remembrance. That will be the actual 11th, because this year the Remembrance Sunday falls on the 10th of November, because it's not always both on the same day. The Armistice is the 11th. Well, I do hope to be bringing you a few more sessions, a few more cultural sessions, and I do want to say a very warm welcome to any new visitors here. I know there's been a few. There might be a few in London. There might be a few in Gloucestershire, and there's probably a few in other places. And if you're from overseas, you might be very interested to know, as I know some people have given feedback. They're quite interested to know about what happens here and some of the cultures and events and what they could expect if they come here. Perhaps during the time of some of these commemorations and celebrations. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me now. And I'm still, as you can well tell, sorting things out here. Hope you like the picture behind me here. And, well, quite a small place, but just right to do a bit of filming here. Thanks for joining me here today, and do have a great weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye now.